So according to Dana White, Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather is going to happen. So is it time that we can just officially talk about it, Jason? Can we weigh up stats? Can we weigh up their ability to potentially hurt each other? Can we simply get this thing in motion? Nope.
No.
Explain. Why?
Because we're not supposed to talk about it. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe.
It's been a pleasure.
Here's the worst part is there are posters.
Yes.
There's sources. There's like trash talk.
There's plenty of trash talk.
Those
odds?
There's odds. There are odds. I need a date. I need a credential. I need a date. I need
both.
I need to know when it's officially happening. And by the way, we know, I can tell you, if it's not UFC like specifically related and Dana White adamantly starts denying it at 2 o'clock in the morning because he has an 8 a.m. SportsCenter appearance, then you know. You know at 7:55 a.m. when he tweets out, there is no Mayweather McGregor, but catch me in 7 minutes on ESPN. I actually like Dana White. But he goes on and he sits on that couch and he goes, we're gonna have Floyd fight Conor at T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. I think that's a good place to do it. And it's gonna be it's gonna be UFC 215. Actually, I wonder if it would be on a UFC card.
I was gonna say this, so here's my thought on it. I think they make it both. I think they just try and drag in as much as they can.
Get David Lemieux and Gennady Golovkin, try to get other fighters.
Yeah, I think they just why not? Why not just make?
Or just have all boxers fight UFC.
Imagine having. Why not have a boxing ring at the same place as an octagon and have like this be the theme? Is like combining both worlds and have an octagon on one side where you could have some of the UFC fighters take fold.
A boctagon.
Oh, a boctagon! Jason, we've cracked it. Have the octagon be lifted out from the ceiling.
What is it? Boxtagon.
Boxtagon.
Optimus Prime.
All right, anyway, so let's get to Dana White's quote so that you're not just thinking of us rambling without any substance, because here's the substance.
I'd rather ramble.
I do think it's going to happen, Wild told Conan O'Brien.
He just talks to everybody.
Well, Conan O'Brien's like actually got a stake in the UFC, by the way.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
I think it's going to be a tough deal because obviously there are a lot of egos involved in this deal. Yeah, I mean, Conor McGregor's wife, Floyd Mayweather's people.
Part of the money too.
A lot of egos involved in this deal and a lot of people, so that always makes it tougher. On the flip side, there's so much money involved, I just don't see how it doesn't happen. Before I get into the quote from Chael Sonnen, I do want to say that we need to remind ourselves that while Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao did happen, there was a lot of money involved for years, and it still was facing pushback. The only reason that I think that you could maybe separate those cases is because that was a battle between two fighters in an era where, it still is predominantly controlled by
promoters?
The promoters who are in charge and everything included. So the fact that it's crossing over from two sports and the fact that Floyd Mayweather, I think, does firmly control his own relations. I was thinking back then when you're combining two powerhouses from the boxing industry, I think you've got Bob Arum involved, I think you've got other promoters involved, and I think that's where you're going to hit a snag. In this situation, Conor McGregor seems to represent himself pretty well, and he takes anything that's thrown at him in the UFC.
Sure.
Floyd Mayweather is in firm control of his own fighting stance because he's retired and it's on him to come back out and he's on promotions. So that's where I think it's a little different. But I'm just saying, I have kind of numbed myself from the idea to make sure I'm aware that if this doesn't happen, it's because I sat for 8 years and waited for a fight to happen.
Yeah, I'm not. First of all, I'm not on the train I was on when it came to Mayweather Pacquiao. This fight will never happen, because it did. I was very, very wrong about that. But Chael Sonnen makes some good points. But I think there's another entire side to this. And I mean, we have to call a spade, I think is the term here, because everybody wants this fight. There's a lot of hot takes. There's a lot of bad for boxing, bad for UFC, good for boxing, good for UFC, disrespectful. We're going to get to all those things in just a second. My big takeaway here is, why don't you want to see these two fight? You know, why not? You can't predict it. There's some educated guesses, but the fight game's the fight game, and nobody can say, except for the fighters themselves, that's why I like Chael Sonnen's quote, what it's like to be in those positions in the first place. So to Chael Sonnen, who is, by the way, always good for a soundbite. I think the fact that anybody is weighing in that there's a contest there is such an incredible disrespect to boxing. If that fight goes more than 30 seconds, it shames boxing. If it goes out of the first round, it humiliates boxing. Yes and no. Yes, because McGregor lasted around in a sport that he is not elite in, technically, against the greatest defensive boxer of all time, debatably, and an undefeated boxer. But we know how Mayweather fights.
Yeah.
Of course that's going out of the first round. That's not gonna make, it's gonna make it to round 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, maybe all 12 for all I know. Maybe it turns into a charity boxing match by round 6. Maybe they try to slug it all out in round 12. Like, I don't think it humiliates boxing because I don't think you have the right showman for boxing in there.
Yeah.
If Golovkin was standing across from Conor McGregor, besides the fact that I would think he's one of the best power punchers in the sport, yeah, you'd be afraid for McGregor's life. But you have to know who's stepping into the octagon. You would never say, Daniel Cormier is the face of the UFC. I love Daniel Cormier. I respect the hell out of him as a champion. But you have to know the expectation that if you're going to watch Cormier fight and you are somebody who doesn't like the ground game from an entertainment perspective, well then you're not gonna like the fight you see. So this idea that it's going to humiliate boxing, no, it's probably gonna make boxing ratings go through the effing roof.
Yeah.
The next PBC, the Premier Boxing Champions on NBC, the week after that fight, why? Because you can promote other fighters, all these things.
So there's a couple of points I do want to make on this itself. I want to make a point that Oscar De La Hoya is someone who kind of made a similar statement. He said that it's an embarrassment to boxing if this does take place, and that it would be a no contest if it's in the boxing ring. He thinks it because the two of them are well-respected arts, but they're different. Boxing is boxing, MMA is MMA.
They're very different.
But the one point I do want to make on this, and just take it at face value as a casual conversation, no expertise behind it, one of these sports is used in one of these sports as well. Like, boxing is used as a primary factor in MMA. Yeah. You use your boxing ability. MMA is not used in boxing. Yeah, that's the only thing I'm saying.
Yeah, go on. I'm sorry.
The only thing I'm saying here is that I'm not saying that there's not similarities before, and there's things that transcend. Like footwork in boxing is going to be huge if you step into into MMA, and you can use your boxing ability to go in there and work it. But boxing training itself doesn't prepare you to withstand to withstand leg kicks, to withstand being taken down to the canvas. So that's going to be something that you would have to literally perfect from the ground up. If Floyd Mayweather was to move into the octagon, he'd have to spend, I don't know, I just wouldn't imagine he would be able to withstand any ground game.
Look, we have to also acknowledge the fact that we have no idea if Conor McGregor's been training for this fight in his free time for 6 months. I'm not saying I would take Conor McGregor to win, although the idea that, granted, the odds are insane. You can make money on Mayweather.
I mean, it's worth just worth an odd bet from McGregor. It's worth like a Leicester City.
I've seen actual boxers fight boxers and have worse odds than that.
I know, that's the truth.
That's what's shocking to me. But that's, by the way, that's a ploy, because you can't put out the line that says Floyd Mayweather -50, or I'm sorry, 50-1 favorite to win, because no one's gonna bet on that.
Yeah,
you're not gonna bet $100 to win 2. Oh, there we go. I can take my return there and go buy a Hershey bar. Thank you, Floyd.
Take it to the blackjack table and
lose it immediately. So, but I also wanted to mention that there's the argument, and Chael Sonnen made this too, and I'm not at all ripping Chael Sonnen his opinion. It's just his opinion, man. As what's his name says, Tommy Chong from The Big Lebowski. He's stealing other people's things. Regardless, it's not like, for example, Conor McGregor is about to get on the court and play LeBron James and the Cavs, where he would be humiliated because he would get the ball stripped from him every single time, and he'd get his shot blocked every single time, and it would look awkward. You wouldn't expect LeBron James to go up against Johnny McEnroe in his prime and expect him to get 1 point off of him, because basketball and tennis are entirely different sports. The UFC, MMA, and boxing are different sports and different arts, but I think it's more like a TV actor making a jump into movies than I do think it's a basketball player trying to take on Serena Williams.
And exactly, that was the kind of the point that I was
George Clooney did it. He was on ER.
It's almost like, it's not like an actor or a celebrity becoming a president. I mean, that's just insane. All right, anyway, enough jokes for today on that. So that is the point that I was stating. I still think Floyd Mayweather wins, but my point being, if this was a fight in the octagon, there's not even any point in taking any bets. Because Mayweather has never in his life being able to understand the ground game. If it's a fight in the boxing ring, I'm gonna at least think that it goes past a round, at least.
Well, you have to, first of all, Mayweather doesn't have first-round knockouts. That's not how he wins his fights. You have to expect that. McGregor does, though. I want the fight to happen. I want to talk about it more. I want to see, look, we can make a bunch of predictions and judgments. What's the beauty of sports, Francis? Live and unpredictable.
We'll see what happens. We will hopefully be there, because if I'm not there for this, then what is the point? People said, what's the point of living if you didn't make it to Mayweather-Pacquiao? What's the point of living if you didn't make it to Mayweather-McGregor? It is quite literally a way better version, not directed by Zack Snyder, of Batman versus Superman. And I am going to be there to see it.
He did Watchmen, and I liked that movie.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, but Batman versus Superman was guff. Let's be honest.
Yeah, don't bring it up, Francis.
It wasn't like Oscar-winning movie Suicide Squad.
You know, winner of an Academy Award. Don't need to have this argument. People are dumb. There is no way.
He's got a Krypton suit.
Version of the world or alternate reality that Batman beats Superman.
But it's not as far-fetched as Superman fighting a random guy in the street, though. Because Batman's got the training. And he's got the suit. Do you see the correlation I'm making between the Mayweather and McGregor thing?
Hashtag not my Superman.
Comment below.